Praise Song for the Future by Eliot Baron. The year is 2011. What a wonderful world that we live in. The trees are a picture of health. The waters of the land are clean, freely flowing, and full of life. The seas are teeming with fish, with wildlife, with birds. The air is clean and clear and full of the sound of bird song and the fluttering of flutterbys. When Jeremy Corbyn became Prime Minister in 2020, much to his own amazement, as well as that of the country as a whole and the world at large, he started what was to become known as the Great Transformation. It was as if Jeremy Corbyn had waved a great fairy magic wand over the whole land. Little did the world know or even suspect that JC was a combination of the Sleeping King and Merlin and the original JC himself. Elizabeth very graciously agreed to be the last Queen of England. The Federal Republic was born in the spirit of Thomas Paine. Huzzah! The country finally started growing up at last. The sovereignty of the people asserted itself against the destructive power of capital. Capital didn't mean to be destructive, but couldn't help itself, so JC stepped in, and so doing, put the whole world to rights. After the collapse of the NHS, the banks, the financial system, the prison service, the justice system, the housing crisis, the biblical flooding, the endless droughts, the mass self-harming of the youth, the teen suicides, the revolt of the farmers, the lack of food on the table that was fit to eat, the lack of water coming out of the tap that was fit to drink, the lack of jobs that didn't drive you mad with shame, things started to change. Nobody could afford a train fare anymore, had to fly instead. The fracking had poisoned the waters in half the country. The prisons started erupting, the prisoners escaped, the police just let them. Migrants started arriving in hot air balloons, millions of them, a new industry born by people traffickers. The Tory government, led by the great buffoon Boris Johnson, was not believed when he claimed, "Everything was getting better. What is the problem?" You are, voted the people in 2020, and the changes were many and far-reaching. There was a Ministry of Goodness, a State Department of Quality and Business, Home Affairs for everybody. The public schools became state schools. Huzzah! Higher education became free again, in money terms, intellectual inquiry, and free of the state. Huzzah! The armed forces were disbanded and a new National Guard created for proper emergencies only. Huzzah! All production of armaments and weapon systems were replaced by sustainable green industries. Huzzah! Train and bus services became not only free but pleasurable. Huzzah! The national parks devoted themselves to rewilding the land. Huzzah! All farming became free-range or organic with no state subsidy except for rewilding more land. Huzzah! The Ministry of Transformation led the way in water and land management being transformed. Huzzah! Rivers became revered and treated as sacred blessings. Huzzah! Ecosystems were restored. The ghost wolves weren't sleeping anymore. They were woken up. The wolves returned, and slowly, gradually, the land became in good heart. Huzzah! Petrol and diesel engines were replaced with quiet engines running on treated wastewater and had no emissions, which was good, as emissions were banned by the Ministry for Quality of Life. And so, the Federal Republic of Britain, FROB, became a world leader in doing the right thing in the right way. FROB became a wonderful place to live, full of hope and commitment and energy. FROB's example led the way to saving the planet, reversing the threat of climate change, disarming all members of the UN, and making the world a safe, healthy, prosperous, happy place by 2011-5. A world that pursued happiness and found it. Huzzah! Jeremy Corbyn passed the baton on. One Labour government after another, supported by the Greens, governing by persuasion, led us all in becoming this truly green, pleasant and amazing land. Huzzah!